What I'm going to talk about is not my successes, but my failures, because I've had a lot many. If I actually talk about my failures, so I'll introduce myself first. Like as Veda Labs, what we do is we analyze the videos from CCTV footage and give you analytics on top of that, right? Everything that you see in Hollywood movies doing facial recognition, artificial intelligence, some of it we do, right? So it was in 2003 when I actually started my journey in artificial intelligence, right? There's this quote that I firmly believe in. The cure to boredom is curiosity, but there's no cure for curiosity, right? If you actually think about it, right? As a kid, I was in 7th standard in 2003. I watched this classic movie called Space Odyssey, right? And in this movie, Space Odyssey, there was this supercomputer called HAL, right? And this was a brilliant computer, like all AI stuff that we think can be there, right? And as a kid, I was curious, like, how can a computer talk to someone like this? In one of the scenes in that movie, Dave, the lead character, asked Hal, "Can you open the door?" Right? And Hal says, "I'm sorry, Dave, I'm afraid I cannot do that, because if I do, you will die." Right? And I still have goosebumps because imagine a computer, thinking rationally and making decisions for you. Right? And as a as a 7th grader, like what I did after that movie is I started opening up my computer in the home, like, "Ke sala mera computer bolta kyun nahi hai ye?" Right? The only thing that it says is like, there's no memory or etc. Right? And that's when I started exploring the world of programming. Right? I was in 7th standard, and obviously the only thing that I could have learned was some basic PHP, Python, and etc. But that's when I actually kind of understood, like, okay, if I cannot make the AI that I've seen in movies, how about I fake it, right? Making it, like faking it, is still better, right? So I decided, like, how about entering the world of filmmaking? In films, you can make anything possible, right? So I started, I gathered a couple of my friends who, with me, were, who were crazy enough like me, and started making films. And the first film that we made, right, ended up winning 16 National Film Festival Awards, right? And I was only 16 at that time, right? 16 National Film Festival Awards, people started approaching us to shoot behind the scenes of films and shoot documentaries, corporate videos, etc. And as a 16-year-old, we started making money, right? We started making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lakh rupees a month individually, right? And when you're a 17-year-old, 16-year-old, and you're making this much money, right, you tend to do crazy stuff, right? So what we did is, and that's when I actually encountered my first failure, we used all of that money, right, and purchased a lot of equipments that we thought are required in a production house. We purchased all of the cameras, cranes, and etc. And by the time I knew, from making 2, 3 lakh rupees a month, we had a debt of 30 lakhs. Right? And as a 17-year-old, you've barely started your college, right? And you have 30 lakhs of debt on your shoulder, right? And your family is like, "Ki yaar, tu kya kar raha hai? Pehle padhai pe dhyan de. 30 lakh rupees kahan se denge?" So, that thing happened, and fortunately enough, a very big news channel, which is very famous now, right, was in the inception at that time. And the founder of that news channel came to us and said, "I need all the inventory because I need to start a news channel, right? And can you sell it to me?" We were like, "Okay, how much?" He's like, 40 lakhs. I'm like, "Please take it," right? "I have 30 lakhs debt, please take it, give me extra money," right? And that's when we took the money, and that was the time when I watched another movie, which was The Social Network, right? And that movie completely screwed the minds of entire generation that we live in. Right? I mean, like, everyone thought, like, yes, they can be the next Mark Zuckerberg, right? Even I thought, right? I thought, like, let's build the next social network. Let's go on the internet, let's build the next social network. What if I cannot build AI, but I can build a website where I can bring people on, right? So we used all the money that we made, anyways, like, it was just 10 lakhs, but we used all the money that we had, invested it in making that social network, right? It failed, right? It again failed. And that's where I actually want to talk about the second point, right? The first one was the cure to boredom was curiosity, and there's no cure for curiosity. The second one is, if you feed your mind properly, it will shit money for you, right? And this is the second point that I want to talk about, right? We invested all the money that we got in making My Window, right? It failed 3 times, right? We pivoted, we launched 3 different products, all of it failed. And then, we were curious, why a product like this, such beautifully designed product, can fail in the market? Are people dumb or are we dumb, right? So we kind of started dissecting our product. And then we realized there was this one feature that people really loved, right? And that one feature was something that allowed anyone to sell anything that they have, right? And accept payments for it, right? Right now it sounds so, available. OLX does that, right? And you can sell anything online right now, right? So at that time, it wasn't there, right? So we kind of removed everything from the platform, kept that as the only product. Again, we failed. Nothing happened for the first month. But 4 months after, we did, food on street, and we kind of onboarded few famous writers, like video bloggers and etc. And they started selling their stuff. And eventually, 4 months down the line, we started making around $10,000, $15,000 a month, right? And by the time we knew, by the end of 2013, we were making $1.2 million annually, right? And that's when I kind of realized, which is the third most important point, which everyone should remember, is, the biggest failure is when you don't try, right? I mean, everyone must have heard this, NASA, right? James Cameron has also mentioned this, that NASA has a saying, right? Failure is not an option, but you have to consider failure as the option, because you learn from them, right? You grow from them. But fear cannot be an option. I can see a lot of 20 years old here, right? Everyone, or some of them, must have some ideas, but you don't try because you're afraid to fail, right? It's okay if you fail, right? ठीक है, mom dad चिल्लाएंगे, चलेगा, mom dad है, right? But after you graduate and take a left from your college, right? That's when the real world will hit you, right? And that's when you will have to even fight for a job. You will have to fight for every money that you earn, right? So why not, when you are in college, you can practically start making and start exploring and start doing experiments. Even if you fail, you're still in college, right? You can still make something happen. You still have time, right? And after that, it was, I think, 2014, when my window started making money. We were making good money, and on an average, we were making 70, 80 lakhs per head as founders in profits. And that's when I decided, okay, the company is in profits, but now I need to explore my, ambition of building something in AI, right? And that's when I kind of decided, I asked my co-founder that we are in profits, can you help me with an exit? My co-founder was Nikunj at that time. He helped me with an exit. I took some money, and started working on what we call as Neuron. It was in 2014, before even started working on product, I kind of just blogged about the idea that this is what I want to do. These are all the possibilities of my product. And fascinatingly enough, the investment head of Times Internet read that blog, right? And he commented on that blog, let's connect. I kind of reached out to him, and he, on the call, said, okay, I like the idea. Give me your email. I'm sending you the term sheet for the investment. And I was like, okay, investment is coming. I don't have to invest my own money, right? So I gave all of the money that I made from my window to my parents, right? And I said, okay, let's move to Delhi, because they wanted us to shift to Delhi, right? And I shifted to Delhi, and then I realized, okay, this is not how the investment process works. If they have committed to invest, that doesn't mean they have invested, right? And I shifted to Delhi, and then I realized they have just given us a guest house for a week to figure out where we can live for next 4 months, and after the 4 months, they will give us the money, right? And now me, my co-founder, are kind of struggling. Okay, we don't have any money. We haven't taken any money from the parents. Now we cannot go back saying कि पैसा नहीं मिलने वाला है. We need money, right? So we kind of thought कि ठीक है, let's pack our luggage, go to the office, work for the day, and in the end of the day, we'll figure out, right? So we packed our luggage, we went to the office, we started working there, and by the end of the day, we were like, okay, let's stay here for the night. Let's stay in the office for the night, right? We stayed there for 1 night, we stayed there for 2 nights, and eventually realized no one really cares if we are staying there, right? So we started staying there. This is in Noida, Film City, right? And we started staying there. We stayed there for almost a couple of months, right? But obviously, people will realize that you're staying there, right? When something happens so frequently, right? So the same guy who said he will invest, he came to me and he said, boss, you cannot do this here. You have to leave the premises, you'll get your money, but you cannot live here. I'm like, okay, we'll work for the day again, and in the evening we'll figure out, right? And in the evening, after the day was over, we picked our luggage, went across the street, there was this chai thela. We had udhari there, obviously, because we didn't have money. So we were sipping chai, and then we were like, okay, where should we go? And my co-founder, Adi, he's a bold guy, right? He's like, okay, we'll stay here only, right? So we slept on footpath for 2 days, right? And on the third day, because they realized we don't have money to live, they gave us the check, right? So, thanks to those guys and thanks to Adi that, we didn't give up, right? So we got the money. We eventually, from failing again, right? We raised some capital, wasted all of that money. Trust me, the one thing about money that you should always remember is no matter when it comes and how much it comes, it will go away, right? Paisa jitna aata hai, kam padega, right? So that is the biggest problem. And we raised a lot of money. We spent it like anything. We partied like anything. And that's when I realized the only thing that you can make are relations, right? And apart from technology, because technology is your work, but relationship is something that you build and that will live with you throughout the life, right? And so as I said, there are 3 things that you need to remember. One, right, failure, right? You should not be afraid of failure. You should not be afraid to fail, because if you don't try, definitely there's no outcome, right? Second thing, if you feed your mind properly, right, it will shed money for you. And third, there's no cure for curiosity. Thank you.